Hey everyone, welcome to the Pawareness podcast, and thanks for joining me. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, and also check us out at pawareness.org and on Instagram at pawareness_official. On Instagram, we are doing submissions for Pet of the Week, where you can submit your foster pet, and we'll pick one winner every month, and we'll give $200 to their choice of charity or foster. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. I have Lizz Whitacre from Pawlytics here with us today, and I'm really excited to talk with her about just what she does, what Pawlytics does, and I think it's going to be beneficial for every foster and rescue listening to this. So Lizz, I'm going to go ahead and let you take it away. Go ahead and introduce yourself and what Pawlytics does.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me today, Chris. I really appreciate it. So my name is Lizz Whitacre. Like you said, I am the founder and CEO of Pawlytics, and Pawlytics is management software for animal rescues and animal shelters. And so we help these organizations by giving them this central database that's incredibly easy to use, where they can store all the records on their pets, the medical records, where they're coming from, where they're going, as well as all the people they're interacting with, and so much more. And so it's this system to help you form adoptions and intakes in a more efficient manner so that you can really get back to focusing on the animals and their individual care and needs.
Now, one of my passions is just entrepreneurship in general. So I just, a question over here is, how many ideas did you have before this came to fruition, right? There's no way this was the first.
Right. Oh gosh, no, long shot. Yeah. Long from the first one. So actually Pawlytics is my fourth company. And so it was idea after idea. I think I had actually started my first company while I was in college still. I think I was 19 and I started an animal rescue, of course. And then from there, I tried to open up a cat cafe here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and that did not go according to plan. And so then from there, I tried to start my first online company called Family Pet Project. And that was for people to rehome pets directly from one home to another. And from there, I ended up, very similar story to yours, Chris. I ended up picking up the phone, called 400 animal shelters and rescues across the nation and said, how can I help you guys? And it really came down to, we need better technology within our shelter and within our organizations. And so that's when we decided, let's build something for these groups and kind of live vicariously of saving animals through them.
That's amazing. And I think that that's, like you said, just picking up the phone and asking, how can I help solve your problems is greatly undervalued sometimes. So really that's amazing. Pawlytics was built like that. Now, what are some of the main issues you're seeing in the industry as of right now, right? I mean, you mentioned like administrative work is a bottleneck. Is that what you're getting at there?
Yeah, absolutely. Administrative work is absolutely a bottleneck. And, it can have some pretty serious implications when you're losing efficiency because we are working with live animals, right? Can come down to life or death sometimes. And every minute does seem to count because sometimes we're working on very tight deadlines to pull animals out of rescues and shelters. And so, for us, we're really focused on how do we streamline everything and make it incredibly easy and efficient, where the software, the technology should be doing most of the work for you in terms of the administrative tasks. So the interesting problems that we're starting to see in the industry now, and of course it's a very interesting time for the entire world, is how much is shifting and changing towards more fostering and foster-based organizations while we're in this pandemic, because everything is out of the home now. And so I think even shelters are starting to notice, flaws in their own processing because no one was really set up to go into this huge foster shift overnight. And so we were very lucky to be set up for foster-based organizations initially. And so Pawlytics has been able to step in and help a lot of these shelters now that are going digital so that they can manage their foster program in a more efficient way.
Now, are you working with strictly companies in the United States, or have you branched out international? What's the plan? What are the plans there?
Yeah, so we intended to work within the US, but we did actually internationalize our software in the sense of having different currencies and addresses. And so we do work for organizations across the globe, and we have started to branch out around the globe. So we have many users in Australia, Canada, Europe, tons of organizations right now coming out of Germany and Romania and Belgium and that region of Europe, and especially the UK as well. And so, yeah, we have animal rescues and shelters from around the world using Pawlytics, which has been such a interesting surprise for us, just how much the product was needed, not only in the US, but around the globe.
Now, what is your favorite part about what you do? I mean, I guess, yeah, I'm so interested to know, I'm sure you have your own sets of strengths and weaknesses, and how does that play into that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So with running Pawlytics, I think it's been amazing to hear the success stories, because we're still a very small team and a small company, we really get to know our customers very well. And so they will actually email us if they're doing, their first adoption, or they'll send us the sad stories of, hey, we're really bummed because we had to euthanize a kitten today and it wasn't supposed to go that way. But we noticed that you released some new feature in Pawlytics and it made our day a little bit better. And so that really, really continues to motivate the team, and my entire team and myself love animals genuinely. And so when we get those emails or those messages that we've made a difference, or the product that we're creating or the code that my team is writing is actually having an impact on these people and the pets that they're trying to help, that is very, very a special moment for all of us. And so that's been a wonderful part of running this company. In terms of strengths and weaknesses, I definitely see myself as more of the ideas guy, I suppose. I've definitely started this company while I was in college, and so decided to go full time almost initially out of college. And it really was scrapping together all the skills that we needed to just get this thing off the ground. So I taught myself graphic design. I ended up learning a little bit of front-end development. I taught myself how to make t-shirts so we could start having revenue stream. And then I learned product management, and I started actually doing a side hustle of building other rescues websites so that we could keep getting funding for building Pawlytics. And so it's more of a modge podge of skills, but I'm fortunate enough now to have an amazing team and employees with me that I've been able to delegate out to more specific skills of people who are much, much better at this stuff than I am.
I can relate to that so much, because I think in the beginning for me too, I was similar, where I was doing pretty much everything. It's like, how can I just get this task done, scrap this together, and like anything I can do to funnel money back into my business and just get it to the next step. Like I totally get it.
Yeah, it's that persistence of like, nothing is going to stop me. So what do I need to learn or figure out or solve to keep this thing moving forward?
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of long hours, but it's obviously totally worth it. When was the actual creation of Pawlytics, right? When did you guys go live?
Yeah, so we formed the company in 2018, and that was, after we had pivoted away from Family Pet Project and really learned that there was one more layer of the problem to be solved, and that was, really attacking the root of the problem within the animal shelters and animal rescues. So we formed the company in 2018, did loads of customer discovery, so that's when I picked up the phone and made all those phone calls, and we started writing code middle of 2018, and we had our first alpha user the end of 2018, and then we launched the first version of the product, the paid product, June of 2019. So it really hasn't been too terribly long now that we've been in market.
Now, has COVID impacted your business at all, or how has that been for you? How's that shaped up for you guys?
Yeah, so COVID has actually done wonderful things for our company. It sounds funny. We have been fortunate enough to be one of those companies that is thriving during coronavirus. And that really is because animal welfare and animal sheltering is a necessary staple in our community. It comes down to public health. You cannot have strays just running around just because you're in a global pandemic or there's an economic downturn. And so because the shelters couldn't just shut down, they had to adjust and shift their strategy and their setup and their workflows. We saw this massive uptick in users and signups and adoption of our product in March and April. But it was interesting for us because we immediately saw adoptions drop as well. And so our product adoption went up, but adoptions went down. Actual pet adoptions went down. But through the pandemic, we've actually been able to find funding. I've hired 3 people in the pandemic. And so it's been nothing but growth for us. And it's a great time for us to be going through this growth because so much of those procedures for shelters are going to be changing, that we can really shape our product to now what the future of animal sheltering is going to be.
That's so amazing. And it's always great to hear, whether it's companies or individuals, and they're just like, hey, 2020 has been the best time of my life for my company or whatever. It sounds crazy. And I mean, I can really relate to that as well, running a couple of online businesses and just people, you know, having to shift, having to pivot. And that's the definition of entrepreneurship is doing that. So that's amazing. You guys have that service there for them to actually utilize. Now, I also want to ask too, what are the plans? So we just started Q4. We're kind of going into 2021. What are some goals Pawlytics has, and what direction do you want to take it? What are you excited about?
Yeah. So we, like I just said, we received some funding. And so for the last, year and 5 months ish, we have been in market and really been an amazing fit for foster-based organizations. And so now we are moving into the phase of our product where we're going to be growing out our feature set to fit more brick and mortar animal shelters, as well as animal control facilities and other types of animal welfare organizations like trap, neuter, return groups, low-cost spay, neuter clinics, voucher programs, pet food banks, things like that. And so what's really unique about how we're going to be building Pawlytics moving forward is that everything is going to be a module that you can add into your free tier of Pawlytics. So you start with your base set of features, you go into the app store, and then you would say purchase your vet clinic module. So say you're a shelter that's also running a public vet clinic. Then you purchase on the pieces of the software that you need. And so you're only ever working with the data points that you actually need to utilize that are going to matter for your grants or your funding or whatever that might be. It keeps the interface incredibly clean, easy to use. We definitely have the lowest amount of training time on our product. And so we want to keep that easy to use interface as well. And so that's where modularizing the product is going to fit any type of organization. If you're a shelter that runs a vet clinic, a TNR program, a pet food bank, you'll be able to go in and purchase all the modules you need to fit your program exactly. And so we're super excited about coming out with something that's going to be able to fit everyone's needs, and they're only ever going to pay for what they're using.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to a rescue, you mentioned vets too, or you guys are working with vets too? Or...
We're not currently working with vets, but we see a lot of use for what we're building for vet clinics moving forward. And so our main mission is definitely to work with animal rescues and animal shelters. We're actually a benefit corporation, which means that we have a stated public benefit, and ours is to reduce needless euthanasia across the US. And so the core of our company will always be this very mission-driven aspect of saving animals. But as we accomplish that goal, we want to be able to help other animals that are already in homes that maybe never went through the shelter or rescue system. And so the product that we're building can actually be utilized to pass health records around to vet clinics, boarding kennels, groomers, and animal trainers as well. So that moving forward beyond the animal sheltering space, pets that are getting adopted, their records will go with them wherever they are, and they can receive very unique and individualized care that they need to be a successful, healthy companion animal.
That's so amazing. And just keeping it streamlined. So across the entire life of the pet, exactly. I think it's efficient and it's genius. So now my question for you is when you guys are, whether a rescue's reaching out or you're reaching out to them, what are some of the biggest obstacles or resistance you face in terms of them signing up with you guys? What's that like?
Yeah, I would say the biggest resistance we face is usually they're worried that the rest of their team is not going to be able to use Pawlytics. But then usually once they get in there, we actually have a guaranteed you'll learn Pawlytics in 20 minutes or less, because it is very true. It's actually that easy to pick up. And so, the other resistance we're getting is just that it is hard to change your processes and workflows. A lot of these organizations are volunteer based. And so, the only motivator they have to become more efficient is the premise of saving lives. But when you're a volunteer based organization, you don't have your paycheck or your boss, your livelihood saying, hey, if you don't become more efficient, you might lose this position, right? And so sometimes organizations get stuck in this mentality of, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And yeah, to some degree that might be true, but also if our goal is to reach no kill by 2025, we need to be constantly improving our processes. That doesn't mean that they're currently broken. It just doesn't mean that we're maybe maximizing our resources to save the most number of animals. And so I think we're facing that mentality of if it's broke, don't fix it. And we're trying to, kind of educate these organizations about how can we save more animals utilizing the same amount of resources?
Yeah. And I think as, an entrepreneur myself, that's hard to kind of wrap my head around. Like I'm always looking for new processes and whatnot, but you're right. I mean, that makes total sense. Now I want to ask really one last question, and this is a big one, but if you had to pick one issue in the industry that you see right now that could just magically get fixed, what would you say that is? Or like any way to do that?
Yeah. So I think in the industry, we see the issue of supply chain management essentially for animals. So if you're going to look at the animal welfare and animal sheltering industry from more of a business mindset and less of, the emotional mindset, really it's just supply chain management. And you can think of the animals as products, and we need to figure out where these products are going to quote unquote sell the best. And so what we're doing at Pawlytics is we're trying to utilize this data and perform research studies on our end to understand where certain types of pets have the best chance of adoption, so we can properly move them to the right location, since transferring pets already happens very regularly. But right now there's not a lot of data around, well, what happens after we transfer them? Do they get adopted? Do they get adopted and returned? And so we're trying to learn more about that. Also learning, things about, can we maximize the adoption fees? Can we study our data and figure out the best price point for an animal to maximize that adoption fee for that organization, so that of course they can turn that around and keep saving more animals. And so I think for us, we're trying to solve a lot of these business logic problems of supply chain management, price modeling, and we're trying to utilize our data, bake it into a machine learning model that can then be used by every organization, so that they, again, are not having to do that hard thinking. The software is going to do it for them. And so that's the problems we're trying to tackle at Pawlytics for the industry.
That's awesome. You have a product that's already working towards that. I guess my last thing is there anything else you want to add, or where can people find you at?
Yeah.
Like what's that like?
Yeah, so you can visit our website at pawlytics.com, and it's spelled PAWLYTICS.com. Feel free to reach out to me, Lizz, Lizz, at pawlytics.com. And we are on all social medias. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So definitely follow us on all those locations, and definitely sign up for our newsletter as well, because we send out blogs and we send out feature releases, so you can follow along with our journey as well.
That's amazing. And all of that will be, whatever medium you're listening on, it will be in the description below, all of it. So definitely give them a follow, reach out to them on social media, say hi, and follow along the journey. And I appreciate it, Lizz. Thank you so much for coming on. It was great having with you. It was great talking with you and getting to meet you. Yeah. Thank you for having me on today. It was great getting to chat. Fun conversation. Thank you so much.